During my past year in Japan, there have been many times when I've kind of associated various music, movies, and other media with the situation I was in or the emotions that I was feeling. So I wanted to record a few of these here. The first of which is the movie Anna and the King, which I watched with my roommates Anne and Annalyn. That was very entertaining to watch with them. What struck me most about this movie was her adjustment period, trying to deal with culture shock and culture clash, really. And at the same time, as she's accommodating that, to remain true to herself and remain grounded in her own strong identity. And I certainly sympathize with that desire within her, particularly when I first arrived in Japan. So I'm going to be buying this on DVD, and I also enjoyed The King and I as well, by the way, the original movie. So maybe I'll get both. Second is Peter Gabriel's I Don't Remember. Now, when I first arrived in Japan, I did have certain frustrations, and this was a great song to listen to on my MP3 player as I biked to and from work. Great one to kind of shout out the lyrics to myself, and particularly since both he and I were feeling so very disoriented, despite the fact that I was in the Orient. Wonderful song. Next, we have what I refer to as the problem of Gordian proportions. When a certain amount of drama and sort of personal immaturities, I think, got involved with the situations that I was in Japan, I started imagining myself as Alexander the Great, poised to slice through that Gordian knottiness. And as it turned out, that's really not what happened. Rather than cleaving cleanly through the drama, I actually kind of hacked at the sides and got a little of that knot unknotted, but there's a lot of it still there. At the very least, I can say it was living in Japan that has most greatly taught me the high value of being direct and cutting to the chase of a matter as early as possible. It's good stuff. Next, we have Frank Sinatra's My Way, a wonderful, truly at its heart American and individualistic song. And it's one that I sang both at the welcoming barbecue when I first arrived in Japan and at the goodbye barbecue just before I left. I use the term singing loosely, by the way. But wonderful, wonderful song. I love that ideal of standing for what you believe, for your conscience, for doing what you feel compelled to do, regardless of others' approval or disapproval, that at least if you know that you're acting according to your own conscience and according to your own convictions, then you can't have any regrets about that aspect, because you won't have kowtowed to anyone out of fear or any other neuroticism. And I think that's very important. So, great song. Fight Club! Next, one of my favorite movies. Now, of course, for travelers, there's the reference to airline announcements at the beginning. But what's more important to me is this notion that they expressed of single-serving friends. Which, yes, I had a good number of regular friends I had in Japan and who I will dearly miss. But the, quote, single-serving friends, the ones I've met anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 or 3 days, I think it's intriguing how they kind of have some inherent angst involved in them, that you get to know someone for a very short period of time and then you don't expect to ever see them again. So there's this strange occurrence of reminisceless memories. You can't reminisce with anyone over a memory because they aren't there, because it was just a single-serving friend. And I find this poignant, but still very good. You know, those are all good experiences. We have Weezer's Across the Sea, which he's just got that wonderful song written about a fan letter that he received from Japan and how he wishes he could have a more direct or intimate relationship with this girl, emotionally, physically, psychologically, whatever, but he can't because, of course, she's across the sea. And this, of course, calls to mind many friends that I missed from back home when I was in Japan, and many friends in Japan whom I miss now that I'm back in the U.S. So, eternal angst, can I say, never ends. Next we have Spaced, a British comedy that my friend Ash introduced to me. Very cool show. I saw both seasons of it. The part that stuck out most to me was the beginning of the second season, where the female lead character has changed so much, and she seems to have changed psychologically, definitely physically and emotionally, and she has just gotten back from a rather grand trip to India, and she's dealing with that sort of that clash of intellect and emotions that comes when you return to a place that's familiar yet also just sort of very common. And she's coming back to ordinary life, which can be a little unsettling, I'm sure, for someone who's been out adventuring. So that show, and of course the warning of some friends, have alerted me more specifically to that upcoming return culture shock, which I expect to be, I've experienced in little tiny bits already, but I expect to be more in bits and pieces later. And finally we have Elizabeth Bishop's poem, The Questions of Travel. I just want to read 2 lines from this, and then I'll head off. What childishness is it that while there's a breath of life in our bodies, we are determined to rush to see the sun the other way around? The whole poem is good, but those are my favorite 2 lines. Alright, well, to everyone in Japan, I miss you dearly.